Okay, so welcome back to Authentic Connection. I am your host, Amanda Giroux, the food addiction coach. So, for those watching, hello, you can see me, and my hair is in disarray. I'm growing out my side shave. I had a side shave last year for my birthday, and it's growing out, and it kind of looks like I have a mullet. For those who are coming through listening on the podcast, welcome. Thank you for your time. Today, I want to talk about energy, and I want to ask you a question. So when you think about your goals, when you think about, whether it's weight loss, whether you want to overcome your, food addiction or whatever it is that you're trying to achieve or you want to achieve, are you meeting that? Are you meeting those things with what I like to call magic pill energy? So I listened to this live by this business coach, Mandy Perry, and she was talking about like there is no magic pill for your business. Like it's not just one thing and it's going to solve everything. And it sparked me to want to talk about it because it's true, right? And this is kind of in any area in life, we can adopt this belief that there's some one magic pill that's going to fix everything. And if we could just get to that one thing, everything would be fine. Everything would be better. Our lives would be, complete. And the reality is, unfortunately, that is so incredibly untrue. And, it also takes the accountability off of us to make the choices and the changes and take action. So we say, and I've been guilty of this many times, like, oh, if I could just have more money. So I get more money. And then what? Oh, if I could just get more employees, or if I could just get this, if I could just lose 5 pounds, if I could just get, and it's always this one thing. It's like, all I need is, I just need to. And if your thought process is that, like, I just need this one thing, I would really invite you to question that. And is that true, first of all? Like, is it absolutely true that once you get that one thing, your life will be magically better? And I mean, if you say yes, okay, do you absolutely know that that's true? Throw some Byron Katie in there. Do you absolutely know that that's true? And I mean, if you're being real and honest with yourself, the answer is no. So why is it that we do that? Why as human beings do we do that? And what I've come to realize is it really does take the ownership of our own lives off of us, because we put it in the outside. We put it in the, it's on someone else to do this for me. Well, my husband doesn't cook, so I can't eat healthy, or I'm too busy because I'm working, or I don't have the money to hire a coach, so I can't do anything other than have a coach. So I'm not going to do anything other than have a coach, but I can't afford a coach. So, oh, well, I can't reach my goals. Oh, well, I can't fix what's going on inside of me. I can't address my food addiction because, I don't have the tools or the person to help me get there. Like we're putting this, sorry, my chair, we're putting this accountability outside of ourselves so we don't have to take ownership. And I understand on a deep level, I really do, like why we do that. Like it's a challenge. It's hard. It's hard work. It's really hard work taking care of yourself every day. It can be, it's a job. Like you've got your full-time job or your business, whatever you do. Maybe you're a parent as well. And then you have this job of taking care of yourself. Like it is a job. But if you look at it, like if you follow the passion, if you think about people in business and people that have jobs that they love, they're passionate about, it doesn't always feel like work. It doesn't always feel like it's hard to do. Yes, there's days where things are hard, but you're doing something you love. So you're happy. Like being an entrepreneur, being a coach, it's a lot of work. It's a lot of energy emotionally as well. But I enjoy putting that work and that energy in because I love what I do. And if you gave me $1 million and asked me, like, would you do something different? Absolutely not. I would just be doing it in a much greater capacity, but I would still be doing what I'm doing because I love it. And the reason I'm bringing that up is like, taking care of yourself is a full-time job. And sometimes you have to do things you don't want to do in order to take good care of yourself. But if you love yourself, if you're dedicated to yourself, if you're committed to yourself and your overall health and well-being, you're committed to that feeling of the outcome rather than the feeling of, uncomfortable or irritating, whatever it is that you're in the moment, you're like, I don't want to do this, but you push through it because you love yourself. So my question to you is, like, if you're struggling with consistency, if you're struggling with making those choices, and if you're imagining that what you need is outside of yourself and unattainable, so you make the excuse that you can't do anything because of that, ask yourself why. I would invite you to get curious as to why that is. Because the reality is, nothing is going to change unless you change. And you can adopt little things here and there to help you along the way. Like, for example, I have a very, like, I bought a very low quality, like a very inexpensive elliptical trainer last year when the gyms shut down, and the resistance isn't very good. So I don't really sweat much when I'm doing my cardio. And that's the only piece of cardio equipment I have in my house. So what I do is 3 times a week, I'll put a garbage bag on, and then I'll put my clothes on top of the garbage bag. And it just helps to raise your body temperature so you sweat more. It just helps me sweat more. But side note, if you're going to do that, you have to make sure you're replenishing your electrolytes, like, and your water tenfold, because you sweat so much. But anyways, my point is, as an example, that's a way that I enhance my workouts and my cardio workouts, because I sweat more. But I know that wearing the garbage bag 3 times a week isn't going to get me where I need to go. It is a tiny, tiny tool that I use to enhance my results or my performance. But at the end of the day, if I don't love myself, if I don't feel worthy, if I don't feel like I can reach and attain the things that I want, I'm not going to bother. So you need to ask yourself, like, how do you really feel about yourself? And to help you answer that question, you can just watch how you show up for yourself. Because the way you do anything is the way you do everything. And that took me a long time to really notice and really get a hold of in my being and in my body. My stepmom used to say it to me, and it used to annoy the shit out of me. And then I made this friend from the gym, and he said it to me once. He was at my house, and I don't know, I was doing something. I think I had a Brita filter, and like I was pouring water, and I didn't refill the Brita. I just put it down. And he's like, "Are you going to fill that up? Because then when the next time you go to drink water, you're not going to have, filtered water." He's like, "The way you do anything is the way you do everything, Amanda." And I was just like, "Oh my God, like, how many people are going to say this to me?" But it was true, right? And for me personally, it was like, I would do things almost all the way. I would go almost all the way. I would do it till it was good enough, but I wouldn't complete the task. Like, I would wash all my dishes except one for whatever reason. I would almost complete the thing. So I had to get real with myself. Like, how is that a reflection of how I feel about myself? Well, I feel that I'm like almost worth it. Good enough is good enough for me. And I really had to dig deep on that, and then, question that belief and where it came from, and then change it. And it's just like, what do you really want out of your life? Do you want to be mediocre, or do you want to be a high performer? Like, what is important to you? So anyways, having that conversation with myself, and now I'm working on changing that behavior. But it's a job, like it's work, but it's also like, what are you willing to do? What is it? How is it? I'm sorry. Yippity blah, blah, blah. Poor papa. Sorry, that was a Brooklyn Nine-Nine. I'm on Brooklyn Nine-Nine right now. That just made me think of Jake Peralta. Anyways, so when you're trying to get to this magic pill situation, which is not attainable, right? And you're looking at your behavior and what you're doing, like, what's it a reflection of? What's the emotion underneath it? And then what we end up doing, which is the fun saboteur, comes in, right? So we say, okay, I just need this one thing, and then I'll get good. I'll be good to go. I'm fixed. I feel great. But then we set it in this really unattainable spot. So we make it so incredibly difficult to reach that one thing that we claim we need to fix everything, because in reality, we know somewhere deep down intuitively that that's not the thing, but we intentionally set it up so it's so far away, so we never actually have to do it. And that goes back to, again, taking ownership and accountability for yourself, because it's, and unfortunately, I don't want to get too far off topic, but unfortunately, like, when we are children, if we feel like we maybe didn't get the love that we needed, didn't get the nurturing that we needed, whatever the case is, right? Like, And if you listen to any of my other content or read any of my blogs, et cetera, like the way that I coach my clients is through what's called the trauma blueprint. And it's helping them identify where their past experiences and their beliefs and around those experiences are hindering them and affecting their food choices. So that's how I coach. And it's a method I invented or whatever called the trauma blueprint, but it's really just a collection of things that I've learned and experienced, and I've put it into a coaching practice. I digress. One seemingly insignificant experience from our childhood can then, become a pattern of thoughts and then beliefs and then behaviors and then a personality trait. And then we just think we are that way. I'm just a person that eats a lot. I'm just a person that's this, whatever the case is. I can't stop, blah, blah, blah. And that can stem from that event, right? So unfortunately, sometimes we feel like we need to be more nurtured because we didn't get nurturing. So the way we nurture ourselves is by, overeating, or the way we nurture ourselves is to, always need help. So someone else can swoop in and nurture us because we didn't feel nurtured. And it's just about looking at the behavior and asking yourself, why? Where does it come from? Why do I do this? And not in a way like what's wrong with me kind of way, but it's just like, why do I do this? I wonder why I do this. It's about becoming the detective of your own behavior. And you just have to get curious. Why am I doing this? And remove yourself emotionally the best you can. And just picture like you're watching a movie or a TV show, or you're watching someone else's behavior, right? When you're just watching something happen and you don't have any emotional attachment, you're just observing it, right? And you can be more objective when you're not so emotionally attached, which is why I don't coach family or friends, right? Because it's like, it's challenging. You develop a bias the closer you are to a person, right? Like it can be challenging also to know, you don't want to invite yourself into coaching people that don't ask to be coached, but I digress. The closer you are emotionally, the more biased you tend to be. So if you were to just pretend that you're watching a movie or a TV show or someone else that you don't really know, and if you were to just watch that person's behavior, what would that behavior tell you about that person? And I mean, we're all intelligent beings. We all read, we all watch, we all listen. We all have an intuition as well when we're tapped into it. It's very powerful. Like, what is your behavior telling you? What do you really think that your food choices are telling you? And then furthermore, when you're intentionally, and I know you don't think it's intentional, it is subconscious, but you're still doing it, right? When you're intentionally sabotaging yourself and not allowing yourself to move forward, why is that? Because a lot of the time we will stunt our own growth. One, to stay comfortable. Two, to stay comfortable in the environment we're in. So whether it's a spouse or a friend circle or family, we're afraid to grow beyond those people. So we end up keeping ourselves at that level because we're fearful that we'll outgrow them and then we won't receive love from them. Excuse me. Or we're not sure who we'll become. And so there's fear attached to that as well. But more importantly, what need is it meeting for you to stay where you are? What need is it meeting for you to stay where you are? And one of the most thought-provoking questions that I heard asked was when I started listening to and following Dr. Gabor Mate. And I was very privileged to be on a Zoom call, not with him. He did a Zoom call I got to be on the Zoom call and I got to listen to him speak. We didn't really interact, but it was really cool. I was fangirling super hard. But anyways, his work is so incredible. If you don't know who he is, he's a doctor, but he also works with he's been doing studies on like pretty much his whole life on the link between trauma and addiction, and he helps recovered addicts, etc., and struggling addicts. Anyways, he said not to ask what's wrong with your behavior, but what's right with it. And what he means by that is, what purpose is it serving you? What emotional need is it meeting for you? Because the truth is, even like when you want to stop something and you can't, the reason that you can't is because it's meeting some kind of need for you. So on some level, unconsciously, you don't really want to stop because you don't want to be left without whatever emotional need it's meeting. I hope that makes sense the way I'm explaining that. So You see people like, I can't stop eating this. And then if you ask them, well, why? What would happen if you stopped eating it? Well, I wouldn't feel comfort anymore. I wouldn't feel happiness anymore. I'd have to address my stress and my anger, because when I'm angry and I'm stressed, I eat. And then we develop these habit loops, right? These negative habit loops of eating to suppress emotions, eating to feel certain emotions. And then our brain says, oh, okay, this is a pattern of behavior. So I'm going to trigger this person. The next time Amanda feels sad, I'm going to trigger her to crave sugar. So she eats something so she can feel better, because the last few times she was sad, she had sugar, she felt better. So now I've developed a habit, right? A habit loop or a pattern of behavior. So the brain then tries to work with you to make you feel good. So it encourages you to eat sugar by triggering that emotional response or that craving within you. So I'm just having some coffee. I'm going to do a workout soon, so I figure I might have some coffee to get me going. Anyways, so essentially that's what takes place. And again, it's not, I don't want to make this a super long episode, but there is no magic pill. There is no magic pill. Anytime, you're in that low spot, and it's good to take action, but you want to take the right action. And you don't want to put all your eggs in one basket, that term, right? Like the basket you should be putting the eggs in is your own basket. Let's say it that way. Like, you are the one that is capable. You are the one that ultimately will make all the changes. My clients that are in my group coaching, they have incredible results. They're making great progress. But that's not because of me. I'm simply the conduit that they're using for their own personal growth, right? They were at a state of readiness, and they're using the tools that I'm supplying them with and the coaching that I'm supplying them with, but they're still the one making the changes. So I am a tool, which one personal training client back in the day said to me so eloquently. I said, I'm just a conduit for your growth. And she said, so you're a tool. And I think she just wanted to call me a tool, because I don't think she liked me very much. But anyways, um, it's true though, in context, right? We are just a tool. I am just a tool for you to use in order to gain success in whatever area you're looking for success in that I'm helping you with. But you're the one that's making the change, which means that you're the one that's capable. So you already have inside of you everything that you need. You just need to tap into it. But you're not tapping into it because you have this wet blanket of negativity and, limiting beliefs and language stemming from things most likely that have happened in childhood, or something in your adolescence, but something in the past either way, where you've developed some kind of belief about yourself that you're not able to do X, Y, and Z, which is completely untrue. But just know that there is no magic pill. There is no somewhere, someday, something in the future. I'm deciding now that I no longer will stand for being unhappy in my body. I will no longer stand for hiding myself from the world and not doing activities, whatever they are for you, that I'm too afraid to do because I feel self-conscious and I feel inadequate. So I don't allow myself to I don't put myself out there. I will no longer treat myself this way and abuse myself, because that's ultimately what you're doing, right? When you're in food addiction, you're abusing yourself. And I'm not trying to make you feel bad. I don't want you to feel shame around it. There is no shame, but it's just the reality. And so it's getting real with yourself, the situation that you're in and where you're at, because some of you are at a really unhealthy state. Some of you are, teetering on a heart attack, teetering on, heart failure, or whatever the case is, right? Like you're suffering with obesity, high blood pressure, whatever the case is. Like, get real with where you're at. Don't make it worse than it is, but recognize where you're at and own that reality. And I know that can be really challenging, but you just need to own the reality of where you're at. Because if you keep lying to yourself, it's only going to get worse. And then once you can own up to your reality, start trying to gain some leverage. So, okay, I understand where I'm at now. What is this going to be like in 5 years if I don't make changes? What is this going to be like in 10 years if I don't make changes? 20 years, 30 years? Like, will I even be alive then? What kind of life am I really going to have? And this is what I ask myself. I know this is a bit strange, but this is what I ask myself with my personal, my physical flexibility. Because once upon a time, I was a personal trainer. I was very mobile. I was moving all the time. Even when I was a bartender, and a server, like I was moving all the time. And, then when I owned my own cleaning company and I was mobile and moving all the time. And then now I'm a coach, an online coach. So I'm stationary. And I notice, and I'm very hyper aware of posture and gaits and flexibility and stuff like that because of my experience as a personal trainer. I'm very aware of like where I'm tight, where I'm hunched over, when I'm blah, 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 and like the movements, certain exercises I can't do as well. But I have in the past struggled with incorporating flexibility training in my daily practice. Like I just avoid stretching. So I had to get real with myself and ask myself, like, if I don't start stretching on a daily basis and improve these blocks, these physical blocks that I'm having, what are the consequences? Like, let's take ownership of where I'm at right now, because I can't keep lying to myself and pretending that I'm as flexible as I used to be, because I'm not. So let's take ownership for where I'm at right now. I've allowed myself to get tight and, in certain positions too often where I don't have the mobility that I want. So what are going to be the consequences of that in 5 years? Well, I'm going to look like the letter C, which anyone that knows me, that's like one of my biggest fears. Like, I don't want to look like the letter C, like those people that are like super hunched over. And I'm going to be really tight. And I'm probably not going to have the fitness level that I want to have because I can't do the exercises I want to be able to do because I don't have the mobility and the flexibility. And then, all of your internal organs are in the front and in the middle. And when you're hunched over, you're suppressing that. So that's not good either. And I just had to go through the list of consequences, and it's only going to get worse. And what am I going to look like when I'm 80? And so I got real with myself. And so I bought this, it's called hyperbolic stretching program. And it's just like 8-minute videos every day, because that's what I need. Apparently I'm not, having ownership for myself. I wasn't showing up for myself. So I cut a check for speed and I bought this little program, and it's 8 minutes a day stretching videos to get my ass in gear. But I had to leverage. I had to gain that leverage for myself and really get real with it, not see it worse than what it is. Tony Robbins says that, see your situation for what it is, but not worse than what it is. And then really gain leverage on yourself. Like what are going to be the consequences? And then once you get real with yourself in that way, you've seen what the consequences are of your continued behavior. What are the benefits of change? What are you going to benefit from if you start making these small changes like every single day and stay consistent? What's the outcome going to be? What are the benefits going to be? How is your life going to be better? And I've always had a dream of being like I can do a back bridge, but it's like really like it's shaky and it hurts and I can't get close to my feet. And I would love to be able to do like one of those aerial cartwheels. I think that's what they're called, like where you have no hands. And I just have like, I see in my mind the way I want my body to look and feel, but I've been pushing that aside because I haven't been taking accountability for my lack of stretching. So, now that I'm taking ownership and accountability and I'm making the steps, I can see better what's possible for me. And so like, what do you want? What do you envision? And so now that you've taken ownership and gained leverage, and now you can start to really envision and dream, what do I really want? And anything is really possible once you get real with yourself. But you have to get real with yourself and you have to gain leverage, and you have to know that there is no magic pill. Nothing is just going to happen for you, one without any work or effort put in. But there isn't just one thing. It's not just one thing. Like even the people that are in my coaching program, they're making incredible, realizations and incredible emotional growth. And they're starting to make shifts and see things, and their behavior is starting to change. But if they finish the program and then they do nothing with it, and they don't continue to use the tools that I provided, that we've come to, this is what we're going to do, and follow through on the action plan, what is the likelihood of them being successful sustainably? And it's like, I'm really sorry, guys, but it's ongoing work. It's ongoing work. And our society, the way that it's shifted into this immediate gratification is really fucking everyone up, because especially our kids, like I don't even want to think about like the generation, like in 10 years, no one is going to have any patience at all. And I'm really scared for that. But anyways, the way that our society is shifted, right? It's teaching us that we can have anything in our hands. I am stammering like crazy today. We can have anything in our hands immediately. And so when we can get our food delivered to us, we can get we can order things online and express ship them and get them in a day or two because of Amazon and whatever the case is. Like everything is immediate. The internet, whatever. I sound old when I say it like that. I digress. Everything is immediately in our hands. So we assume, not consciously, but subconsciously, we assume that things should be easy all the time. And that is just not the case. Things are simple. The concepts are simple. The execution is challenging because you have to do it every day. You have to show up for yourself every single day, guys. And that can be hard. But you have to. Like if you've got kids, you need to show up for your kids every day. You need to feed those kids every day. You need to change their diapers. You need to bathe them. Like they can't help themselves. You have to do it. And you have to start treating yourself with the same kind of love and care and level of love and care that you give to your kids or you give to other people, because you're as deserving. And on top of that too, if you are a caregiver, you can't give to your kids or your family or your friends or your spouse or whatever if you're not at a high level. Like, how are you going to be? Parents say, like, I want to be around for my kids. Great. Are you healthy? Because you're not going to be if you're not healthy. Now, could a healthy person drop dead tomorrow? Sure. But an unhealthy person is more likely to die early than a healthy person. So you say you want to be around for your kids, but is that true? Because you're not acting like it. Right? Like there's no room for martyr syndrome around here. It's do or don't. Do or you don't, or you will or won't ya. Missy Elliott. Sorry, I'm in a weird mood today. Anyways, I feel like I went on a bit of a rant there, but there's no magic pill. Get real with yourself. Be real with yourself. Just be honest. This is where I'm at. And it might suck where you're at, but at least you're in the reality space, right? Like you're not living in la la land because there's no point living in la la land. Like it's a coping strategy. It's probably a survival tactic that a lot of us adopt where we go into denial. And I understand that. I understand denial. I really do. But it's not where you want to live. And now you can be aware of the fact that it's a survival strategy. It's a coping strategy. So it's not a useful tool, right? If you are in an emergency traumatic situation and you need to shut your brain off and go into denial mode in that space, I can understand that. I'm sure that takes place. But you're in your life. You're in reality. So slipping into denial, it's just another form of coping. It's just another form of avoidance. And everything is just going to get worse and worse and worse and worse. The more you ignore things, the worse they're going to get. And if you really care about your life and the lives of people around you and the people that you love, you will take the steps to make those changes, no matter how hard they are. And how you do that is getting real with yourself, taking ownership and accountability for where you've gotten yourself to this point, because no one's done anything to you. You've made the choices in your life. No one's put a gun to your head and said, overeat for 6 years and don't work out. You did that. So you have to take ownership for that. But deeper than that, start to question why you got to that point, right? Gain some leverage and ask yourself, if I continue down this path, where am I going to be 5, 10, 15, 20, 30 years? What's that going to look like? Gain some leverage on that. But then deeper than that, and it always goes deeper than that, guys, Because if you listen to my last podcast or any of my content, the problem with addiction isn't the substance you're abusing. It isn't the food or the drugs or the alcohol or the whatever. That is simply the conduit. Because if it was the food, everyone that ate that food would become an addict. Everyone that ate that food would have some kind of issue with it, but that's not the case. So it's individual, and it's individual in the sense of it's what emotional need it's meeting for you. So you need to ask yourself, what emotional need is it meeting for me? Why? How long? Where does it come from? How do I fix? How do I heal so I can fix? Because it's not fix. It's like, I need to heal this shit. So I hope that's helpful. And, the next time it's the middle of the night or you're late at night, because I know I do it too. I do a lot of my online purchases in the evening, right? Because it's like targeted ads. Now, targeted ads are kind of cool because I've adopted some pretty neat things from targeted ads, like this spine deck that I have for my back, targeted ad, the hyperbolic stretching program, targeted ad. So I am thankful sometimes to Instagram for their, espionage and listening to my whatever, and paying attention to my algorithms and sending me ads, because I do gain from that. But either way, my point, the next time you're scrolling online and you're feeling lonely and you're feeling shitty about yourself and you're feeling whatever, don't just buy the diet pill. Don't just buy that shit's not going to work if you don't get this right. And for the people listening, I'm pointing to my head. If you don't get your mindset right and you don't get your heart set right, it doesn't matter if I presented you with the perfect meal plan, the perfect exercise program, if I came over and cooked your food for you and, fed you your supplements. It won't matter. You won't sustain it because you didn't fix the reason why you got this way in the first place. Okay? You didn't fix the reason why you got this way in the first place. That's why I went from a drug addict to a food addict to a sex addict, like to just compulsive behavior, one after another. That's why I was able to quit drugs but become addicted to food, because I didn't fix the reason I became a drug addict in the first place. I didn't heal that part of me that felt unworthy and unloved. So it just manifested in a different way that wasn't going to kill me right away. The only reason I quit using drugs was because I was logical enough to understand that it was going to kill me. I was hallucinating when I was sober. I was seeing the most fucked up shit, and it really scared me into quitting, but it didn't subside the behavior. And the emotions still needed an outlet. Hear this, the emotions still need an outlet. So if you're not healing those emotions and you try to suppress the behavior that's allowing those emotions to come to fruition, it's just going to manifest in another way. And even if, best case scenario, you lose a bunch of weight, you get yourself to a healthy point, it's like a monster inside of you. Like, it's still there and it's going to come out. Something's going to trigger it and it's going to come out. You're either going to relapse and you're going to put weight back on, or maybe you become so incredibly psychotically hyper focused on your weight loss and on your fitness and whatever. And then you become addicted to that. And then you don't allow yourself any grace for cheat meals. You don't allow yourself any grace for days off, and you work yourself into the ground, and you end up hurting yourself in a different way. Like, the behavior is interchangeable if you're not addressing the underlying emotion. So there is no magic pill. You need to address the underlying emotions. And, if you would like to do, and I'm going to say this after every episode, because I think it's so important for us to really get to the root. If you'd like to learn more about my programs, again, I'm not bragging, like, I'm having really great success with the clients that are in my program right now because they're really addressing the root of their shit. And once you do something right, you only have to do it one time. So my group program right now, it's $11.99 for 12 weeks. It's a rolling group that meets every night, Tuesdays at 6:30. They are recorded sessions too. So if you ever miss one, you can always go back. There's workbooks and worksheets to get you thinking and discovering and going deep. And then we do goal setting. And there's an action plan that I help you put together as well. But anyways, you can visit my website, to learn more exactly everything that's involved. But it's really, at the end of the day, it's about getting to the root. It's getting to the root, it's pulling it out, and it's resetting the foundation. So, um, also, if you would like to follow me on Instagram, I have some great content on there as well at Authentically Amanda G. And you can join my Facebook group, Food Addiction Freedom. So, and it doesn't even have to be me. If you don't want to use me as a resource, that's fine. But if you think you might be struggling with food addiction, like, you need to reach out to someone. It's time. It's time, because life is already happening. It's happening now. It's time for you to get your shit together and get going. So, anyways, thank you again for your time. I appreciate it. I know time is the one thing that we can never get back. So I genuinely appreciate yours. And I hope you guys have a wonderful day.